Welcome back to the Real Estate Den. This is episode 17. Today we've got Tabitha and Brandy with us. How are you ladies doing?
Great. Thank you so much for asking.
I'm amazing.
Yay, what a wonderful day. Thank you so much for connecting with us today. So we have an interesting mix of guests, which we've got an investor and an agent. So I'm excited to kind of get right into this and talk about our businesses and everything that we enjoy about this field. Tabitha, tell us a little bit about where you're from, what area you work, and what led you to being in real estate.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much. I'm excited to be on here. I've done a lot of podcasts, but not very many where I'm like collaborating with other people. So this is going to be fun. I love to chat it up. And I like that we're different areas because I feel like your audience is going to just get such a well-rounded experience today. So I'm pretty excited for it. I live in Nebraska, so smack dab in the middle of the United States. I grew up here, very rural. We have more cows than people. I tell people all the time. I met my husband in high school, so we're high school sweethearts. We have 5 beautiful daughters, and we got into real estate when we were in college. My husband actually started with his dad when he was probably 15 years old. His dad had cows. As I said, we live in Nebraska, and he hated them. So he's like, selling my cows and I'm buying houses. I'm going to have real estate, rental properties instead. And so his dad did that. I think it was the summer that my husband turned 15. So he started renovating homes with his dad and kind of learning the ropes, but they did it very like bootstrap. I mean, they neither one of them like had no real estate experience, nothing really in investing. His dad was not one to like go out and get educated on it. His dad was just more like, we're just going to go do this. I think his brother had a real estate property or something like that, but he definitely didn't really know what he was doing, but they just went and did it. And there's so much to that in regards to just doing it. And my husband was very talented with renovation. He always loved to make old things new, and so he was just very skilled at a very young age to do that. And so he just helped his dad renovate these properties, get tenants in there. And so he learned that about, I think he was like 15 or 16 when he first started. And then when we were in college, he was like, well, my dad's doing this. I might as well buy a house and have people pay my rent for me. So he did that. He lived in the basement. He rented out the top. I helped him renovate it. We were just very green in it, but we loved it. We were like watching, shows on HGTV and, imagining what it would be like. We both took real estate classes. We thought maybe one of us would be an agent. I pictured myself, having my kids and going to these, showings and stuff. I was in college for a different degree, but we were just not exactly sure, with the real estate, what that would lead to us. We knew that we wanted to buy more properties. We know we wanted to be investors. We knew we liked to renovate houses and flip them. It was just kind of, testing the waters in the beginning. And then we started having babies. And my husband is a farmer. And if anybody knows anything about farming, it is a very hourly intensive career field. And so we invested in some properties and we had tenants and we saw that as wealth creation for later on. But we were raising kids and I was doing some coaching. I was in fitness and personal development, and the real estate kind of took a little bit of halt. Like we didn't grow like we wanted to in those when our first three were very young. And then we kept saying, oh, we want to grow. And honestly, it was probably just fear of the unknown. We had take some classes, but I honestly was not the one to I was not the numbers person. I could go and we could flip a house and I knew how to make things pretty and I knew how to make an ROI and I knew all of those things, but we just kind of lived in our comfort zone for a long time. And I didn't like that. I was very uncomfortable there. I wanted to grow. We wanted to, 10x our business. So then we started buying properties again and we had two more babies and we birthed a few more businesses along the way. And now we just we're looking to double our real estate portfolio in the next 2 years. We're on track to do that. And we are helping other families buy their first income property. So that's kind of the new coaching business that we are developing right now, is helping people make that plunge. Because the number one thing I hear people say when I talk on stages or with other clients, they're like, "Oh, you invest in real estate. I've always wanted to do that."
Mhm.
And then they don't. And I ask them,
Right.
like, why? Why don't you? And it's taking that first step, it's doing that. And I was fortunate that my husband, he just, he was like, we're doing this, and I was like, okay, we'll figure out the numbers. But not everybody has that partner that's doing that. So we are just making it very simple, because I think in the real estate world, there's a lot of jargon. It's very male centered. A lot of coaches out there are males, and I think that's a little intimidating. They throw around a lot of words people don't understand, and it's risky, and they want to do that risk, they want the payoff, but they're not quite sure how. So we just kind of that's a new program that we're launching this month, and we're really excited about it.
That's super exciting. And I just, my business changed significantly when I realized that my energy is not the same as the masculine energy. That I can still accomplish things that
Yep.
men can obviously accomplish or whatever, but we are just a little bit different. So I love that
Yeah.
you're doing that, because, while there's a time and a place for the go, go, go all the time, that's just not our natural energy. And if you can kind of, work in the way that you naturally are and not,
Yeah.
then things are a little bit simpler. That's super exciting. I'm so glad to have you today. Brandy, tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about you and your business and how you got
Sure.
and where you're at.
So I actually come from a family of entrepreneurs. So pretty much everyone in my entire family, both sides, have always had businesses or invested in businesses. My father was kind of one of those people who invested in kind of everything. So I think I learned that entrepreneurial spirit from him. And I had my first business when I was 23. I owned a children's gym, and I owned that for about 10 years. And it was great. I got married there and had my kids there. So I really had like the blessing of having a really great nurturing environment for the kids, especially as we were kind of getting started as a family. And then, unfortunately, like a lot of people, the economy kind of tanked back in about 2008. My business, once the money goes, obviously the extras go. So we were an extra. So we had to close doors. And one of my members actually called me maybe 6 months after the business had closed and I was trying to figure out what to do, and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was like, literally nothing, And she said, "Do you want to be a real estate agent? I think I'm going to start a brokerage." And I was like, Yeah, I've actually always loved that." And I was one of the main principals with her when she started. So that was really cool to see everything start from the ground up and being a part of it, and got my license. And within 3 months, I was working. And within another 3 months, I had sold my first house. So it was kind of, I realized that in there that was my jam and what I wanted to do. So I'm actually in New York, which is what I love. Again, the same thing, hearing about different areas of the real estate, because here in New York, it is kind of that go, go, go all the time. So sometimes when my energy tends to match kind of where I am all the time. But I found it funny that you had mentioned dealing with different energies, whether it's a masculine energy or a female energy. And for me, what I realized in the beginning part of my real estate career, I always felt I was trying to be a grown up. That's what I used to say. Like I was, still young and green, and was like, you have to be this person to be in this kind of a business. And my business was great, but when I realized that, I embraced myself, and embraced whatever the energy I was bringing. And I'm not going to be the fancy one that's going to show up. I'm going to maybe show up in my Converse, right? I'm going to show up running from the gym. Like I've got kids, I'm running around, I've got a million things on my plate, but you're my priority when I'm here with you. So maybe the outside isn't matching, but everything else is. And my business like quadrupled because I was just my genuine self. And I think for me, as I'm getting older and as I'm now moving into, like I had said, starting my own team, leaving an existing team where I was very comfortable and very happy, and starting something completely on my own. One, it's a very different energy for me now because it's all on me, right? If we don't put the time and the effort in and prospect and we fail, that's it. And my partner is amazing. He completely balances the other energy for me. But what I've realized now is that I'm able to do that because I have been authentically myself. So what I've started and what I'm looking to do is something that I know is going to grow for myself and my kids. Also, I want to build a team where I want to mentor as many other agents as possible coming in, especially with the new laws that are changing and so many things that I think are going to be so intimidating, especially in our state, for new agents. And I want to be there as a mentor. I want to be able to say, like, let me teach you, let me show you the things I know. And then if you want to go, like, go. You do your own thing, and I will literally be here to put the wind under your sails to make sure that you can go far. If you want to stay here forever. I just want to be able to foster. So that's kind of my story a little bit. I'm also a singer in a band. That's my other fun thing that I do. That's like my thing that I do as a
I
parent
love that.
to get away from my small. Well, they're not that small anymore, but I used to say like I needed an outlet. So singing was my time where it wasn't work. It was just something fun. And I suggest that for any professional whatsoever, any mother whatsoever. And if you are in real estate, it at least prevents the drinking so much at the end of the night.
Right. Awesome. So what part of New York are you in?
So we are downstate New York. That's what we're considered. So we're about 25, 30 miles from the city. I borderline New Jersey as well. So I'm basically in the tri-state area. So like New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. And then I'm maybe 45 minutes away from Pennsylvania as well.
How many cows do you have?
I have no cows, and I'm very jealous about your cows because I want chickens and my husband won't let me.
Yeah, we got chickens, we got cows, we got corn, we got it all.
We got it
I
all.
really want chickens.
Yep.
I really want chickens, but good.
That's so funny. Well, yeah, New York is its own world in so many ways, and especially in the
It
real
really is.
world. Like you see a New York thing, you're like, oh my God, I wonder how, I hope they handle that well and let us know how they do.
It is, it's definitely, like I said, it is a world all of its own. Whenever I speak to any of my other friends who live in different states and
Yeah.
we talk about it and just the way that things move, like everything here is just such a frenetic pace at all times. And so what I try and tell my clients, it's like, it's my job to like, just bring us back down a notch because it's so easy to get caught up in the anxiety and the emotion and all the things of buying or selling, whether they're an investor or they're selling a property they've had forever. There's so many aspects of kind of like, I would say like psychiatry that gets into it, that I'm like, we're just going to calm our brain. We're going to take this step at a time. And we're just going to do this because otherwise the train leaves and you can't get it back.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and both of you are in these roles where you're, helping mentor and coach people into this industry. What are some ways that you do advise and help, young mentees to maybe like not get so caught up in the emotion or not be so, fearful? Because you both, I think, touched on having that sort of like nervousness and fear, kind of before you jump off the cliff. Like, how do you push through that? Because as Tabitha had mentioned, like people everywhere, oh, I would love to invest in real estate. Oh, I want to get a real estate license. I was
Right.
doing that. Well, why didn't you? Like, how do you kind of help them get through from A to B there?
Brandy, you
Go
go
ahead.
first.
Okay.
You go first.
Well, it's actually a great question because that actually literally happened maybe 2 weeks ago, or let's see, it's been literally a month. When I tell you I just started the Delgado Seltzer team, it literally was a month ago. And I was just talking to a friend at the gym and he was like, I've always wanted to get into real estate. And I was like, and I said the same thing that you said. So why don't you?
Yep.
And they were like, well, I don't know where to start. I said, take a class and get your license. I said, that's the first step. And I said, and then after that, what I advised was, I said, obviously they were going to come with us, but I said, think about your sphere of influence. Think about the people that you have around you. And I said, and just don't be kind of like a James Bond kind of an agent. Don't disappear. Always make sure everybody knows that you're in the real estate world now. So
Yep.
I always feel like the first business that most people get when they come in is usually through friends, family, or somebody that they know. So I try and remind them that their phone is their Rolodex now. So go through, send a text, send an email, give a phone call, send something to someone and be like, hey, I just want to let you know, I got started in the real estate field and I'm so excited about it. Do you know anyone, or are you ready to sell? Like, what do you think? I said, and you will be so surprised. You're going to get a name. Somebody's going to give you your first lead or your first contact, and you may not close it, or you may, but it starts just from you stepping kind of out of the comfort zone, saying, just take the test and call your friends. Let them know what you're doing. Don't be incognito.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's that first step. It's like showing them just a little bit of progress. I mean, so you're working with agents, and telling, people like take that class. I'm literally just telling people find a house, find
Right,
a house,
right.
and like you can even make an offer. And almost like 99% of the time, you can get out of it if it does not work. So, like how Brandy was talking about, she's trying to slow things down. I'm the opposite. I'm trying to like light the fire under people. Like urgency is now like, if there's a good deal on the table, like let's go. And part of that was because we did have a season where we played it so safe and we played it under the radar. And I kind of let my husband take the reins and because just different dynamics, and I wish I wouldn't have, just for the simple fact that he was just scared of not being able to provide, like overextending, because in our world, especially like as farmers, we have to take out a lot of debt. Just because
Right.
to operate a farm, it is insane. You guys would die if you knew how much equipment it's just crazy. And so we have to borrow, which we're not afraid of. Like that's not like against our religion or anything like that. But like when you're at that level where you're borrowing, and I think we're all women here. So it's like when you look at the male who wants to provide, it was like, I didn't want to like step on his toe. We were already taking risks in other areas. And so we played it safe. And so when I'm talking with people, I'm like, okay, look at a property. I mean, there's really simple steps that you can look at a property, look at an area. There's stuff that we take, our members through and stuff. But I'm like, if you have this desire, the biggest thing is I don't have the money. Like that's the biggest caveat. Like I don't have the money, and number two is like, well, I don't really know where to start. But really, what they're saying is I don't have a belief that I could make this work. And so I tell them, I'm like, honestly, unless, I mean, especially where we're at now, New York's different, like California's different, just because the markets, you guys have these big dips. Where we're at, we don't really see a dip. And that's our advantage, so when I'm talking with people around here, now we are working with, we're going to, expand obviously to people in every state. But like when I'm talking with friends and family here, I'm like, guys, like it's not that hard to get started here. Now, if we were in New York or California, I'm going to talk with my clients, I'm going to talk with my members a little bit differently of things of that nature and bring experts in that area. But just to get started, like let's just find a property. Like number one, like you had to take the test and call your Rolodex. I'm telling people, I'm like, find a property, make a bid, like throw something out there, even if it's low ball. And then if you can't figure out how to get the financing through, there are so many ways to get financing, and you can't, there's always contingencies, and you can always do a bid on contingencies so you can get out of it. It's not like when you make that you're like signed your life away already. But what you did was you got out of your own way, you got excited, you made a little progress, and then you can figure out the numbers, and that type of stuff. So it's, for me, it's just getting somebody to take that first step. And we always advise people, especially with their first income property, to do a single family home. It's just the easiest, least resistance. There's not a lot of risk, honestly. Even if the house is like, 200,000, like people are scared, it's like that's just so minimal compared to like what it can be. And so
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's just that progress forward, I think.
I love that. I love that. And I say that a lot to my clients as well. And I think it's pretty similar across the nation, where the buyer contract's really buyer friendly, like really buyer friendly. Yeah, I'm often encouraging my buyer clients, if you like the house, write the offer, because I can get you out of it. I can get your earnest money back. There's not a lot
Right.
to do. And then I think the second thing that you both touched on that's great that people don't really realize is how there's money. If you find a deal, a real estate deal, no matter who the hell you are, and you find a real estate deal
Yeah.
that works financially, someone gonna give you money. You
Yeah.
just gotta, like, hell, you could post it on Facebook and you can find cash for it.
Yeah.
Like
No,
it's
there's
everywhere.
money out there. And I know like people joke with like Grant Cardone, but it's like, who has my money? Like you can figure it out, you can find it. But we just, especially now, I mean, this happened in 2008, but like, recession, whatever word you want to put on. I don't like to put labels on it because words hold too much power, I think.
Mhm.
But it's like when you live in scarcity, you're going to be in scarce.
Mm-hmm.
And our whole program that we're developing, it's called the Legacy Wealth Project. And it's to help families build your wealth portfolio so that you're not just right here and you're not expecting the government to take care of you. You're not expecting your grandparents to take care of, like you are taking care of you and your family for things to come. And we target entrepreneurs because your business, and so you have income, but do you have wealth? Do you have something set up for you, long term? And when you think about that and with your kids, are you developing the characteristics that they are going to hold on to it? Because even with my husband and his dad, like my husband is the youngest of six, and he is the only sibling that sees the value of the houses. The only one.
Mm.
And it's crazy to me. And I love his parents, but they did not teach the kids wealth principles. And so it's like it's not just investing in your career as a real estate agent or your house as an investment. If you're a parent on here, which I'm guessing you have a majority of our parents, um, and mamas, like you want to set your kids up. So it's more than just building the entrepreneurial spirit. It's more than just building the investment in the wealth. It's what characteristics can I invest in my kids so that they carry this on for more than just 3 generations? Because that's the statistic right now. 90% of wealth that was created in first generation is gone by third generation.
Wow.
And that's crazy to me because I am not building my wealth so in 3 generations it can be gone. I'll tell
Right.
you that. I'm not busting my butt now so they can just sit on an island drinking, mimosas or whatever. So, and I know there's not a single entrepreneur on here that's a parent that's doing that. They're not thinking, oh, this is just for now.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for legacy, like what legacy are you building? So, I know that's what makes us different, but not a lot of people really talk about that in real estate. They're just always, like all about the numbers and that fast pace and like, what can I get right now? And it's like, okay, but what seed can you plant right now?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Tell me a little, what year did you get into, you said you got into college. So did you, what year was that? You've been doing this since before 2008. So you've seen kind of a couple markets.
Yeah. So we bought my husband officially because we weren't married. We were in college. It would have been 2004, 2005.
Okay.
So he bought one that first year, and then the second year bought another one just down the street. And he was helping manage his dad's properties at that time as well. I think his dad at that time maybe had like 5 to 8, and they all have about 4 to 6 tenants in each unit. And so that was always kind of funny because my husband here, he was 21 years old and he's getting called from these parents, like talking about like, disgruntled, tenants. And he's, 21, like, what's happening? It was just kind of a funny dynamic, but it proves like it doesn't really matter your age. It's like encourage your kids. Our kids, all of our kids are set up and taught like, hey, you buy your first house. Like how, like my soon to be 13-year-old, she's like, when can I buy it? Like she's like ready. We told him, we said, we will help you buy a car. We match what they make. And I said, you can either buy a car, or you can buy a house. But when you buy a house, you have cash flow property, you have money every month, you can buy a nicer car. And so my oldest isn't sold on that concept because she's a little more instant gratification. She's got a lot of learning to do. But my second oldest, she's like, yeah, let's do it, mom. Like, come on, let's go. So you're never too young and it's never wrong, like at any time. It's like if you're a parent on here and you're listening, it's like, don't think because your kids don't want to do that there's no hope for them. Because like I said,
Right.
my oldest is like not quite interested, but my second oldest is like, yeah, let's do it, so and all in good timing, but we teach them that. Like that's what we're like investing in them is like we get to teach them and they get to decide. I'm not going to force it on them, but I'm just going to show them these are the things. And kids are not being taught that. They
No.
are like, go to
No.
school, get a good job, work this, maybe have a marriage that might last or kids that may like you. I mean, I don't know. It's just like what they're being taught is just not what real world change makers are going to make. We need to invest in them for longevity of like what really matters.
Maybe you should do a kickoff kids investor coaching.
Yeah.
Yes.
something,
Well,
like-
in our
Yeah.
yes, in our group, so our legacy wealth builders, that's part of the group is doing family masterminds with the kids and where the kids get a mastermind together. And then we're going to do a little competition where they find a property. What would they give for the property? What would the ROI be? They get to like do that kind of research and they get to do it as teams. And then they also get to create a business as teams. And we might do a little Shark Tank where, like, if it's a viable business, like if people want to invest in them, that type of thing, just, just investing in the youth at any level. Like, why does Shark Tank, the national TV show, be the only thing that gets to impact? It's like there are people right here in your own community that would invest in kids and like that type of stuff. And so that's what this group is. It's how to teach families to buy their first income home, but also how to bring the family in on it and build that family connection and relationships and wealth as well.
Love that. Brandy, what year did you get in the real estate?
So it was 2010, is when I got started. And then, right after I got started, I had sold my first house. And then after that, because I had the kids and they were still kind of young, they always tagged along with me pretty much. I would tell my clients, I was like, listen, I got kids. So if you want to see this house at this
Love it.
time, like they're coming along. And I used to joke that my then, like 4 and change-year-old would walk around and be like, and this is a colonial and the bedrooms are upstairs, or like,
I love it.
and like into this day, both of my kids, we drive around and be like, ooh, look at that property. That's this. So I see exactly where you're saying that. I feel like I've taught them as
Yes.
time's gone because they've come with me all the time. And I think for me and as a woman, because I was able to, like I said, like, be home in a way with my kids, like, because we are able still to kind of dictate the time that we can give. Like I could go and do school store, at school. And I was able to be on the PTA and being able to volunteer and give that time. So I was so involved with them, but at the same time had a real viable career. And I think they saw that sometimes I wanted to probably pull my hair out. Another time, when you're so stressed out about a million things, but they were able to see that their mom was able to do something for herself, but then also was doing something for the family. And also I was as present as I could possibly be. And I feel like as moms, we always try and I always say, like, my goal is never to be A+ everywhere I am, but if I could be like a solid B+ to everybody on a daily basis, like I'm taking it, because that means that I at least did a really good job and everybody's okay. Like
Yes.
some days you're going to get the A+ from one of them. Some days it's not going to be. So if on a good average, I'm a good B+, I'm going to take it.
There you go.
Yeah. But for me, in regards to helping, build wealth. I'm actually a founding member of the Latinos of Real Estate, which is in our area and slowly expanding across the country. And we did that specifically. I'm Latina, and a lot of our community is also extremely underserved. So what we did is we started that, and that's kind of become, one of my pride and joys, of being able to see the legacy I'm able to leave there. And again, my kids can be proud. That's sometimes how I feel, like, of the work that you're doing, and also see that a career that I chose, I'm able to make a difference in somebody's life. So we're really teaching how to build wealth in our community, because a lot of the people in the Latino community still sometimes have, money under their mattress, right? They're the ones who own businesses. And that's really difficult to get mortgages when you own your own business. It's really difficult to come up with, certain amount of money because you have to report certain money. Certain money is not reportable. So it's a whole different way to deal with the community. And we've been spending time not just educating people within the community on how to purchase a home, but also other agents and also the appraisers, the, mortgage lenders, the inspectors, on how to work and manage and navigate working with that specific community, being that they're so underserved, how to really get them to the finish line, to own their first property, which we all know in real estate, any kind of real estate you have, is what builds that, like you said, that legacy wealth. If you have a property to give and you have something to give to your, the next generation, they can build on that.
Yep.
My husband is Cuban and also involved in the Latin chamber down where we live too. So I can totally relate, because
Yes.
I'm like, it's such a huge service for you to be able to speak their language and just talk to them as an immigrant from Cuba and be like, no, like, you need to get into real estate. This is not a scam. Like, I will help you. Like,
Yeah. And that's it.
you can definitely, you can really do this. I think it's important to bring your kids with you while you're working, because I think that's one of the biggest issues with why the wealth doesn't continue to flow, those
Yes.
generations, is because the kids don't understand that you're working for it if you just hand it to them. But if they're there watching you write a contract, or they see that you are spending the time to go to a showing, or they're sort of involved, like if you do good here, like I'll take you to Disneyland, you just got to do this, like,
Yeah.
and you can get that buy-in. I think that really goes a long, long way versus, oh, I sold 3 houses, so we're going to go on a trip. They don't quite understand, but if you can involve them, and I still laugh. I see it in these real estate masterminds groups where these moms will be like, I have to bring my, my 4-year-old to a showing. Who does this? And of course, it's always, oh, that's so unprofessional. I'm like,
I know.
oh my God, are we really
Oh
gonna,
my God.
if we listed off the things that do that's unprofessional, bringing their child doesn't make the short list, homeboy. Like,
No,
there's so many
and not only that, most of the people, I have to say, most of the people, when especially when you're working with sometimes the younger buyers, they're either just having children or they have babies. So like literally, I'm like, my kid may be here with me, but I'll take yours. You go walk around. I will give a bottle, like, because I'm like, I
Yep.
get it, and we all have to understand it, especially as women. Like that's one of the big things that I always am pushing. That like we need to have our kids with us everywhere we go because we belong in all the rooms where decisions are made, but our children should be able to see how we make those decisions and
I
what
was
goes
glad
into it.
Yeah, I was glad when Brandy said it because I hadn't had to do it until like last fall. Um, but I had to bring my son, and luckily, I mean, he was 10 at the time, and so he was really well behaved. And my buyer actually had her 2 kids with her, and one
Yeah.
was almost 10, and they had played and got along, and
Yep.
I was like, well, good, because we have 3 houses to go before I had
Yep.
to take him to his football game, which is just it's the life of a mom, you know.
Yep.
Saturday, okay, we have showings. That's when you have showings. And then we have, his activities. And I was like, gotta be good. Then, I'll take you to get a cheeseburger or something, So like and then my daughter, I think a couple weeks after that, I took my daughter and that was a little bit more difficult, but she's just a little bit more difficult. But she's still, it's it's not like
Well,
she's trying to burn up the place or anything. And
no, and I think
Right.
it builds
works.
trust with your buyers. Like that's the thing.
Yes.
Long gone are the days where the suit and tie and the prestige of the profession builds that trust. That's gone.
Right.
Like when
I
you have
literally just
kids,
said that to my husband this morning. I don't mean to interrupt, but I literally, like I said,
No.
my back is out and I had a showing today at 11. And I said to him, I'm putting on a pair of leggings and this crappy t-shirt and my Converse because I cannot physically think about even making more of an effort.
yeah,
And they didn't give 2
no,
craps. I knew
No.
what I was talking about and we made an offer. Before I got on this call, I was sending the offer. So how I look at it is it's not when you're your authentic self. I would say people want to buy from a friend, they don't want to buy from a salesperson. So
exactly.
that day, those days of coming as this prepackaged kind of version of yourself,
Yep. As
it's
long
gone.
as you weren't in pajama pants. Okay. At least
I
you were like,
mean,
there has to be a line somewhere.
I was
okay?
tempted.
But when you have to bring your kids, and I think it's a
Yeah.
difference too of like being yourself and then like being lazy. So it's like, it wasn't that
Right.
you were being lazy. It wasn't that you were being anything other than like you were hurting and this is what it
Yeah,
was. When you
this
bring
is
your
what I got.
kids, I think it actually like deflates the pressure. I mean, I'm not an agent, but like we've seen a lot of houses and I've had to bring my kids on things and you're just kind of like anxious. And when you have an agent who is like kind of those kids and they're like, they have the kids, then okay, they get it. They're
Right.
not going to judge me for this or, think, oh my gosh, why are they bringing their kids? So, I mean, I think it definitely brings that layer um, you know, of
Of trust.
authenticity and trust and
Yeah.
all of those things. And so I my kids, if I ever was an agent, I always pictured myself like strapping my kid on and Bjorn and being like, I'm doing
Yep.
this, like that was
Mhm.
what was gonna be the thing. And when we
That
look at
literally was me.
yeah, we
Well,
went
and
and
that's
looked
it. You're wearing leggings, but you showed up. You're in pain,
Yeah.
but you showed up, showed them the house, put
yep,
the offer in, and so it's like
yeah.
you showed your dedication
Right.
and
Right.
and that to them, and so I think that builds that trust as
And
well.
that
And
was my partner,
that's what the
too.
professionalism is.
He was like, "Why would you go down there?" He's like, all you had to do was call me." And I was like, "Because it wasn't your buyer. Like I made
Right.
the connection with them. Like I hadn't introduced you yet. This week, like it was just like a lead from Zillow yesterday that happened to convert. Yay. But I was like, I got it. And even today, when I was like, I have the podcast later in the day, and he was like, you feel like crap. And I was like, no, it's my job. This is our job. Sometimes we have to do it when it's uncomfortable. And again, going back to like, not that your health should be, secondary, but I always say to the kids, I have a job to do, right? So sometimes you're not going to feel the best. Sometimes you're
Yeah.
not going to feel happy. Sometimes, but you have to just try and show up, because
Yeah.
showing up
Yeah.
is half the battle. Just try and be present, because that's going to be appreciated and go, like I said, a long way. It don't matter. I showed up, right? And I think that goes for almost any challenge that we have in our life. Just show up and try.
And that speaks volumes. Yeah.
And
Especially
it is
to your client.
it is truly half the battle. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that just showing up. And I think too, a lot of this where we're not showing up in our heels and our stuff, like we're also not secretaries anymore. Like we're in this situation where like women, we've being women in real estate. And even though it is sort of it's more female dominated on the agent side, and the investor side, it absolutely is not.
Yeah.
But like it just kind of showing up that way, like a dude could, you know what I mean? Like I've known so
Yeah.
many dudes in my real estate office who are like, well, yeah, I just went and showed a house like this. Like, why is there an expectation on me to have my heels on and my hands
Right.
all this? You're just
And
showing
to smile
like
and to not be
Right.
too much.
Yeah.
It's the expectation. Like I always say, I'm loud, I'm in your face, and I say I'm not for everybody. I said, but I'm for a lot of people. So I said, there's
Right.
times I've said to buyers, I may not be the right fit for you, right? Like I will work for you and kick ass for you. Sorry if I said a bad word. I will, kick butt for you. I was like, but sometimes my personality, I said, I'm very straightforward. I'm kind of no nonsense. I may not be for you, but I know someone who would be, right? So like I can make sure that I can still put you in the right thing. So I think it's also, even as women, we put such a high expectation on ourselves, even when we're trying to fight against the expectation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And what I've begun to realize is, going back to what I said, being my authentic self and just being honest and being open. Just my business has flourished so much because I'm not trying to be like this people pleaser or trying to make sure this is done. I'm like, no, this is how I work. This is how I get things done. So if you want to be with me, trust me, you will be happy in the end. If you're not cool with that, like I get it. Here's so and so, and they are sweet and quiet and kind,
Yeah.
but they'll get the job done, just not the way I would.
You can
So,
put them into
Well-
any library.
yeah.
Well, and I think, okay, so I'm going to speak to because you guys, you're right. Like investor side is male heavy. And I
Yeah.
told you guys just a little bit of my story where I stepped back and I played small, and you all don't really know me, but that's not my personality. I am very loud. I'm a leader, take charge. And in the real estate stuff, I let my husband do it. And honestly, it was my own fear of not feeling like I was enough to be in that realm. Like I didn't know all the lingo. I didn't know all the numbers. I was afraid that I'd be made a fool. Like if somebody said something to me. And I have wanted to create this program for over 4 years that we finally launched. And I just kept saying, okay, when Tracy, that's my husband, when he gets on board, then I'll do it. He's so freaking busy. Are you kidding me? Like there was no, like, I had to be the one that spearheaded this. So there's women on here. Like if you want, I'm dealing with a friend right now. She's going to be one of our founding members, and she wants to buy a real estate property. And her husband's kind of like, no. And I told her, I said, okay, we're going to bring him an offer and show him, because he's a numbers guy. So we're going to show
Right.
how this is going to be cash flow positive for him. But I'm like, don't dim your light. Ladies on here, if you see this as an opportunity, we are the ones that take a hold of family and launch it into success. I don't care. You can put wealth and money behind men all day long, but we are the ones that are behind it. And if you are somebody that's like, I want to build my legacy, I want to buy my first income property, or heck, my first property. Like maybe you don't even own your own home and you're
Right.
like, I'm tired of being a renter, a slave to somebody else. And the male perception sometimes is just, I have to provide, and they live in scarcity and fear. It's like, take a hold of it and move forward stop trying to please your husband, stop trying to please your daddy, like stop trying to please the people in your life and just do the action, because the action, when you do it, it will pay off for you. And for so long, I hid behind my husband, and I was like a lion in a bird cage, because that is not me, like at all. And I was like, I gotta do this. And I was doing other things. I was coaching people. I was loving that. We were a side hustle. I was, raising my kids, having babies, 5 babies wasn't by accident, so it was like, I was doing stuff. But now this year in 2024, I was like, I'm speaking on as many stages as I can. I am investing in as much properties as I want to. I don't care if my husband says yes or no. And we are building people who want to do this, and we're going to show them it's possible. And like, that was it. Like, I just decided, like, it was no more people pleasing anybody else. And that was my authentic self. And so,
That's where I am. Oh my God. I don't know
I love
if
it.
there's something in the water this year because I really don't know because I woke up just one day and I was like, I am done.
yep,
Like, I love all of you so very much. Like, I love my husband, I love my children. I was like, but
yep,
it is my turn, right? I was like, I have given all of my love, everything I have, and I'm like not stopping being a parent, like ever stopping being a wife,
yep,
because like I love being that part of myself as well. But I was like, I am worth so much more than just like a good real estate agent in this. And I I'm the one who's always pushed us over the ledge. So I always say like my husband is always one standing at like the edge of, everything and looking over, being like,
yep,
well, and calculating and figuring. And me, I'm like, just jump,
just jump.
just jump, right? Like
Yep,
it's going to be cold. It may be cold, it may be warm. We don't know.
yep,
So I have a funny story about how I am a very take charge person. The house I currently live in was listed, and I had two clients who were looking at it, and one who had made an offer. And every time I would walk into this house, I would feel like this was my house. I don't know what it was. I was like, I am so sad my client's going to buy this house. Like, I think I should live here. At the time, I lived a mile away in a really beautiful renovated townhouse that I renovated 5 years prior. So, like, everything I wanted in that little happy place, right? The kids were happy, we were happy, but I love this house. The day after they made the offer, they backed out. I had another client who was looking in my condo development in the townhouses, and I sold my house with my townhouse without telling my husband.
Oh my
He
God.
came home and I said, so no, so and so and so and so who are looking. He's like, yeah. I'm like, so I kind of made a deal and I sold the house for the bottom line number you said if we ever wanted to sell. So I got that. And then the cute little house down the street that I love. He's like, yeah. I'm like, so we're gonna go see it. It has nothing we want, and we have to fully renovate it as well. But I swear we belong to live in this house. And literally we ended up buying this house. And now we've been here for 4 years and we gutted it and fully renovated it because every house I do, that's exactly what I do also. But so when you were saying about taking charge and saying to that moment, I've done it before, but this year just feels different. This year just feels like you said, I have so many ideas and I have so many things that I've wanted to do for so long. And building a team was one, I got to do with one of my best friends who we've worked together. He's another founding member of the non-for-profit with me. We were on the same team for years. So he's somebody I was able to carry, and bring along. And we've created this great little model and people wanting to come and join us. And we just started a month ago. And we're like, how? Oh my God! I'm like, okay, I guess I really need to make an infrastructure. I need to and I'm literally sitting here behind the scenes creating our entire business plan, everything that we're doing. And I said to my husband, I didn't do this. I had no idea I was really good at this. I'm like, I think I should get into consulting and helping people do startups.
Yeah.
I'm really good at this, And he literally said to me, he goes, I think that'd be a great idea. He goes, I don't think I've ever seen you this motivated to do this and having this fire and understanding kind of your worth. And I said, that's just, I feel like I'm worthy of this moment. I'm not the imposter anymore. I
Right.
belong in the room because I made the room,
right.
I love that. Belong in like this. I've had goosebumps like this whole call. Like this has been
Oh,
a great episode. Oh my goodness. Totally. Oh my god. And yeah, I do definitely feel like something's in the water. You think things are getting a little powerful here. It's interesting how just the assumption, even though we are in a female, like agents are mostly female, but like my husband and I will go somewhere, and I've been doing this 9 years. I've had my own brokerage for 4. I have 11 agents under me now. My husband's
wow.
been licensed for 2 years. He's working with me for 4 years. So he's been doing it a decent amount of time too. But like I started Motion Homes Group. And every time we go somewhere, people make a comment about me. Like someone really pulled up my card one time and said, oh, buddy, you let her have a business card, huh? And I'm like, bro, this is my company. Like, what are you, what, I'm missing the joke here. Like,
Yep.
it's just
Oh my God.
funny how the
Whoa.
assumption, I'm just like, do I need to grow a beard? Like, what's the deal? Like, um,
That takes some, you know what? So
I know,
Yeah. See,
I'm
and
from New
I
York, so
love the fact that like Callie
Mhm.
and like my husband too, like because they're both so supportive though too. Like I'm sure like he'll hand my card to anybody. He'd be like, "Here's my wife. Here's my wife. Here's my wife. Here's my."
Yeah.
And I mean, he's like, no, she's an agent. She doesn't need me to have permission. You know,
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, and that's the crazy thing about like with my situation. It's my husband was never one to be like, you need my permission. If you guys ever met my husband,
Right.
you'd fall in love with him. He is like so like humble and like hardworking. And he's always been like, yeah, go do your thing. He's always supported everything I've ever done.
aw.
I put myself in that box. Like I put
Oh, I
myself
do too.
in this,
Yeah.
like, I'm not an investor. Honestly, it took me being in like a 5-figure mastermind. And when I was telling people I wanted to create a new coaching program, after my 5th baby was born, I was like, do I work with other coaches? Do I help them start their businesses? What do I do? You know, I was just all over the place. And they're like, well, what do you do right now? And I told them, I'm like, well, and we invest in real estate. And they were like, well, how long have you been doing that? And I was like, well, almost 20 years. And they're like, why don't you sell that? And I'm like, well, I don't know, like who would want it? And they're like, everybody. And I just didn't see it. And I was like, well, yeah, this is what we do. And this is what's, this. And they're like, people aren't doing that. And people aren't teaching that. And then when I put the element of the family on it, and I said, hey, I want to help coach your kids and teach your kids principles that you're already probably teaching them, but from a third party, they're going to receive it. And we're going to do it in a fun way, bring them in on it, in the family properties and stuff. And like everybody, like high level, I mean, I'm talking to people who are making like 8 figures and they're like, nobody's doing that. Like do it. Like we have people that are telling us, I don't know how to teach this to my kids. Will you do it? And they're like, well, that's not our business. They're like, we will get you in touch with these people. And so, but I just didn't see it. I was so close to it. So you have audience members right now. They are so close to whatever, like to buying the property, being an agent, like whatever, the only, whatever reason you're on here, investing in a property. And it's like, you just don't see it. And I just didn't see it. And now I look back, I'm like, I'm so dumb not to see that. And it wasn't that I didn't fully see it. Cause like I said, I had this idea for 4 years since 2000 and beginning of 2020. Like me and my husband went to an event and I was like, we should do this mastermind where we help people buy properties and do family stuff. And then, it wasn't even COVID. I mean, COVID did hit, it blindsided a lot of people. It took focus off. But for me, it was baby number 4 and baby number 5. That was really what took the focus off. But I've had this, but I think why I didn't launch it, honestly, was my own insecurity. It was do I belong in the room? Like Brandy said,
Mhm.
do I belong in this room? And I'm like, you know what? I don't know all the answers. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know lingo. I still look up lingo on Google. I'm like, or I'm texting my husband. I'm like, what does this mean? And I'm on YouTube, like soaking it up and learning stuff so I can teach it. But that doesn't mean that the expertise that we have had for 20 years of raising a family of 5 and building a real estate portfolio of over $1 million in a very rural area. So like, I mean, that's a lot of properties. So that holds value and I didn't see it. So I advise any audience member on here, if you are struggling and you want that wealth, you want to build that, whatever, get outside yourself, whether that's a mentor or a coach or somebody else that can say, hey, why don't you do this? Because
Yep.
you probably don't see the value in it, or you will devalue it. You will lowball yourself and then nobody wins. And so it's like,
I
that
like
was a
that.
big step for me.
I like that. I like that instead of saying that you'll lowball yourself. And
Yeah.
I think that that's actually that hit me actually really hard right now because we're in the process of starting of our first investment. So my partner has already one that he's done, buy and flip, and then he has another one getting ready, and I'm gonna help consult on that just because I've done so many renovations and
Yeah.
helped with renovations, and I'm really good at finding very, very expensive things and then finding the thing that's maybe not as expensive for a little cheaper that we could
Yep.
get quicker and easier. And I was like, and then it looks expensive. I'm like, in the beginning, you just got to get a signature. So,
Let's stick
so I'll
on a
be
pig,
helping to
baby.
consult.
That's
Yeah. And I was like, I said to him once, I was like, why are you waiting 2 weeks for this tile? Like, nobody's going to care about this when they buy this house. Like, they're not going to care you waited 2 weeks for this beautiful tile. They literally have the one that looks exactly the same for $2 less at Home Depot, and it's going to be good. Like,
Yep.
a bathroom can have that tile, you know?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and then we're going to be doing our own flip as well. And my husband is completely scared. Like, he's just freaking out about it, about the money. We have to do this. And then you just started this. And I was like, money comes and goes. I'm telling you right now, I said, we're looking for a good deal. I know what a good deal is. I know where we want to go. And we're going to have partners. It's not all just going to be on us. I said, and we're going to do this. I said, work together. I said, we have control of the entire situation. I said, we have real estate agents, we're attorneys, we've got contractors. My partner's wife is a mortgage broker. I was like, we're good.
Yeah.
Just trust the process and take the leap. I was like, everything we've ever done, I've pushed us over the edge. Just go. We'll be fine. So that when you said that I'm tired of lowballing myself, and I'm not supportive, but I'm not going to let him try and get a lowball in there on me too.
Yep.
Just to be like, are you sure? Should we? Yes. The answer is yes, we should.
Yep.
We will.
Yes and amen.
We are.
Right.
We are, and you'll be fine when I get to say I told you so.
That's right.
I love this. Wow, this hour has flown by. Like I said, we definitely have to have both of you ladies back for another episode. What do you guys do anything in the morning? Do you have a specific morning ritual, morning routine? I always like to ask kind of what everybody's mornings look like, because no one's morning is the same.
I wake up usually at around, I have a very, very regimented morning. So I get up usually around 5:45. I actually get up and out of bed by 6, wake up my oldest, make sure he's up and alive. I eat breakfast, drive him to school, come back, get my second one up and moving, make sure he's alive. And then usually come back in between 8 and 9 is when I will either prospect, answer emails, get back to anybody, set appointments for the day, set up tasks that I share with my partner of things that we need to tackle for the day. And then I go to the gym from 9:15 until 10:15.
Okay.
And that is my time. And that is my time that I do. I do that 6 days a week. I have a wonderful community around me. It's like my mental health. It's my time. My clients know. I was like, you can text me. I will get back to you at 10:15. My day with you will start at 11 o'clock. So I will get back and you will have me for the rest of the day. But this time is my time. So that's a very specific thing for me, is I always make sure that time is for me.
Yeah. So my mornings have changed. Like I said, I have 2 littles that still don't like to sleep through the night. So sometimes if it's a little rough night, I prefer to get up at 6 and have some quiet time. Like I'll read, kind of meditate, just like figure out. Now that's kind of creep till 7 sometimes. It just, like I said, from 6 to 7, it's like, okay, what baby's crawling in our bed? Who woke up? Who did this thing or whatever? And so it's not as regimented as I would like it to be. But this mom is going to take that time back. So that will be changing this summer. My kids will be out of school and we have a different schedule, but like kids get up, make them breakfast, get them ready for the day. And then I take care of the tinies, and then we go to the gym. They get to play with their friends. I go to the gym for an hour and a half. I usually get strength cardio. Like that is I do that. Yep. 5-6 days a week. And then, kind of plan during that time. I have a little bit of like, okay, what do I have going on the rest of the day? And then we have a nanny that comes in at about 12:30. And then from 12:30 to, depending on the day, can be like 5:30, I'm in the office, but usually I go pick my kids up from school, kind of see the older ones for a little bit, and then I'll come back to the office for a little bit. But my morning, I get a workout in, I do some prayer meditation, kind of figure out the day. I just cuddle. Like with my littles, they're so, they're 2 and 3, and the time goes by so fast. So I just try to really soak up those moments and not get in my head about the go, go, go. Cause I'm a workhorse. I would wake up running if I could, but the time is so sweet where we're just like chilling on the couch. They're, having their vitamin juice. I'm sitting there drinking mine, and we're just, kind of loving life that way. So that's my morning as of now.
I love that, as I'm like balancing my baby, trying to make sure he doesn't make it onto the podcast. Totally understand. It's constant between this is so precious and sweet, and like, what do I got to do? And
Mhm.
and yeah,
Yep.
before when I was getting back into my morning routine and then I had another baby. So now mine is definitely,
Yep.
could start at 5, could start at 4, could start at 7, just kind of depends on
Yep.
how the night went. Where
Yeah.
can our audience members find you if they want to continue this conversation?
For me, you can go to the Delgado Seltzer Group. .com. That's our website, and it has all of our information. And if you want to check out Ladies of the 80s, it's on Facebook. That's my band. So you can come check out
I love
that
that.
fun thing. If you're
Love
ever in the
it.
tri-state area, you can come and hang out and see us. But yeah, it's the Delgado Seltzer Group, and we're with Christie's International. That's kind of who houses our license.
Awesome.
So I have tabthorall.com is just my generic website. That's everything, any freebie I've ever had, from me teaching fitness to personal development to wealth development. But our new project, the Legacy Wealth Project, is on keeplegacywealth.com. And that's where we have free resources, our membership site. If this is released during the founders pricing, definitely jump on that, become one of our members. We teach you, we break down on how to buy your first income property and how you can keep that legacy wealth for generations to come in that group. Also collaborations, we all know in real estate, it's who you know. And when you want to build your real estate portfolio, it really helps to have the group of people behind you. And so we're launching that program and all of our free resources, and then our up level mastermind if you want to be a part of that. So that is all at keeplegacywealth.com. I'm Tab Thorell at Instagram. You can come love on that. We're doing more there. Let's just say that. It's always a work in progress as where we need to spend our energy. And then I also do a podcast called What Went Wrong? Untold Stories of Bouncing Back from Failure. So that's on YouTube and every podcast platform.
That's great. We'll have all of these clipped in the show notes as well. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.